11 months later, and yes, the Corner Creatives did it. The Corner Creatives have conquered. The Corner Creatives have beat the odds. Who would have thought? We've just been nominated for Podcast of the Year by the Dstv Content Creators Awards. To vote for us, please make sure to look just below. Just pause this video, vote for us, and you can vote for us as many times as you want. It is free, so please share it with other Corner Creators. This time, this award is for everyone who creates.
Don't be scared to being true to who you are. Your audience will find you always. It may take a little bit longer because it is more of a niche, but when they find you, they will find you. Yeah, and they will rock with you.
From CNR JUTA De BEER, imini nomsindisi wesizwe, umvelisi emnqango umelisi wesizwe, formerly known as Lwazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture but also formalize the street hustle. On today's episode we have
Gugulethu Nyatsumba.
CNR JUTA De BEER Special Edition. Umsindisi wesizwe umvelisi emnqango. Thank God for the savings.
Yes, sir.
We really have a special one today. This is cool. I need you to do your intro though. Like I really like it.
I have to.
You have to do it for the gang.
Okay, I shall.
Because the gang.
Guys, it is your girl Gugulethi Nyatsumba. Gugulethu to assist you to some. Yeah. That's me.
You see?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I'm a bit tired, but I'm good.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I thought about it, like every time I speak to a fellow creator, I feel at home because I feel seen with the struggles I've had, you know.
For sure.
I was catching up and watching from a distance the setup for your first event, the assembly. What was the journey like? Because with mine, I was inhale, there's heaven.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it was. It was, excuse me, stressful. Honestly, not something I wanted for myself. So I had been a part of the Spotify African Grant Fund, and we wrote a proposal. And in that proposal, I was like, "Hey guys, I want a studio." So I live at home with my parents, and there's an outside room. So I'm like, I've been wanting to have a space I can create at home. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna put all of this money towards a studio, and then we'll have a live podcasting show with whatever change is left. We're planning this thing, Lwazi, and then it just turns out to be so much more expensive, very time consuming, so much so that I had to put the studio on pause and all of my efforts went towards the show. And again, it wasn't something I wanted for myself, so I wasn't that enthusiastic to spend all my money on it, you know. But naturally, as you start something, you have to commit. My team was very committed to it. My manager was extremely committed to it. And I got to the point where I obviously had made the announcement. And once you make an announcement, there's no going back. But it was cool. I'm glad I did it. I know I can do it, which is cool. And I think that's the biggest thing I took away from it. But okay. Yeah, I don't know. Every time people ask me, it's almost like I seem ungrateful.
Oh no.
But I'm just like, the amount of work that goes into it is ridiculous.
And also, I think it hurts more because of the broader team, right? If the weight was only on you,
yes,
and only you, that was it, right? I think for me, even when reflecting, it was like, we didn't even break even, considering that the costs were all on me. I still felt some type of way stating that to the team that I can't compensate you beyond this way and this way, which is like, it's a letdown.
Yes.
Because we all go into these things thinking we're going to succeed.
100%.
And you like a couple of 5 figures down.
100%. I think I was lucky in that my manager and I partnered up on it. So he handled some of the expenses, obviously, meaning he also got a cut.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest motivator was literally like, spend all of this money, invest in it, and obviously you're going to make it back. You're going to make it back times 2, times 3. Yeah. And that definitely wasn't the case for my first show. I can say that for free. We were able to obviously pay everyone that was a part of the show. And for me, that became my biggest concern. I was just like, as long as everyone gets paid.
Is the DJ paid? Is the
DJ paid?
Is the sound equipment
paid? Is the food guide good? Like, post-production, are we good? And then after that, it's like the little sense that we made. But more than anything, I think it was just about, again, doing it and trying for the first time. And I guess now, like, if I am to have it happen again, I know what to do. I know what I'm looking for. Yeah. I will never do it in my own strength ever again, though. I will definitely be looking for more sponsors and more support. So if you want to jump on now, let me know. But yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun. At the end of it, I did have a good time. I was exhausted, but my heart was very full.
when in your journey do you realize, actually, I need a manager?
Quite early on. I think in the beginning, you know, when you become a content creator, or for me, it was like a passion project. So I didn't actually think I was going to make money from it as soon as what I did. So I was just kind of creating content, and then, you know, brands start to talk to you. And often when they approach you, it's very much a trade-off in that, like, hey, take our product, you do this. And for the longest time, I was cool, you know. I think the first time a brand approaches you, you're excited. So I'm like, oh my goodness, yay. At least I'm being recognized.
I guess I'm greedy.
No, good for you. No, I should have spoken to you before. Being greedy is good, especially in our industry.
I think it's because of how informal every brand's approach is to creators. They never take it seriously.
It's lax.
It's like, nah, okay.
Yeah, yes. It's like they're texting you as a whole.
They come with a product.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, Lwazi. Also, my favorite is when they haven't necessarily done research on what I do. So you can tell by the way that they're approaching me, what they want from me. I'm like, if you knew my content, you would know that this is not a fit for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it started off as that. And then eventually I was like, okay, free things are just not going to cut it. And I'd like some money. And I think I really struggled to have the money talk. I struggled to say no, like that's way too low. I struggled to price my work, price my value, price my time. And I think at that point is when I realized I need someone who's able to do this for me so that I can focus on creating. So yeah, and then I was lucky enough to find my manager. We had actually known each other since high school. He went to school Mafikeng, he went to Isa,
Yeah.
I went to Red Hill here in Joburg, and I played basketball. And Isa had an international basketball tournament every single year. So I went per usual, and then my manager was there, and him and his mate, who was an artist at the time, and I really liked the artist. I liked his music.
That's how I know him.
Espacio.
Yeah.
Yes.
First time I interviewed Espacio was when I was on campus radio.
Yes.
And that's how I know Leo.
Oh, crazy. So Espacio is the link. He's the guy. So yeah, keyed, and then I think Leo and I exchanged numbers, but it was always just, he always used to check on me, I used to check on him. Yeah, varsity, same thing. And then when he saw that I had started out, he obviously was like, okay, cool, I have a company, this is what I do. Let me know if you're interested. And because we had that relationship before, yeah, trusting people is mad crazy in this day and age.
In this industry.
Especially when when it comes to someone handling your career and your money. So yeah, he pitched to me. I like the pitch, and I've been happy ever since. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
and that's how it came about.
It's
Yeah,
like a fairy tale story for a manager.
no, literally.
That's
Often people will ask me like, "Yo, Gugu, I'm looking for a manager. Where do I start?" And I always say, "Don't ask me. I don't know. I would be lying. Shame if I said, you know, I spoke to this person and then I did this and I did that, and yeah."
But now having formalized like into a business, because it always says the beginning of the videos, GN. Corporation.
Yes, sir.
He said corporation.
Yes.
Because it's bigger than me.
Yes, it's bigger than me.
Even
at this
rebranding
point.
the channel.
Yes.
What led to all of those steps?
Honestly, having the finances to do so. I think when I had started my channel, as much as it was a passion project, I'm a visionary. I know how I want my stuff to look, and I think that's what put me off from starting my podcast for such a long time, because I felt like I couldn't do it in the way in which I wanted to, and that irritates me. I'm like a perfectionist when it comes to how my things look and what it sounds like. So I guess I had to just deal with that, and obviously just allow that season to be that season and learn more than anything. Yeah, and then I guess like you make a little bit of money and then you're like, okay, cool, now this is really what I'm doing. I am a content creator like full time. It is where I get all of my money. So why not put my money into what I'm doing to obviously make more money? So I guess I'm now at the point where I'm able to play visually a little bit more, you know, play with intros, outros, play with visuals, not at the level at which I'd like, but I'm just trying to have fun. Like this year, my YouTube channel it's not a mess, but it's very different. Like some videos have one thing, other videos don't have a thing. And I think that's just because I'm using the year to kind of find out what it is I want for my channel to look like and what look I like. Yeah.
How have you taken your audience through that journey of like, yo, this is who we Because there's this barrier people set for you because of what you first presented as.
Yes.
How have you taken them through the journey of Now it's corporate group.
I think my show was a great start to that. I think I had my live podcasting show in February, and already when I announced that, people were like, okay, cool, like you're taking this a bit seriously, babe, like you're putting on a whole show. And I think the content that came out of the assembly kind of set the tone. That was for me the biggest jump in my content creation journey and the biggest jump in my visuals, even on my channel. Like if you're to watch anything before that and then you see the assembly, I can think you can see that there was quite some improvement.
Which is insane for live broadcast.
Yes, that's why it cost me a lot of money. But I think that was the benchmark and that was the tipping point for me, being able to just start my journey as someone who takes things a little bit more seriously and present myself as somewhat of a business and package it better. And more than anything, we try to use the assembly as a way to, or rather the content from the assembly, we try to package it in the best way or deliver it in the best way so that we were more appealing to brands as well. So yeah, I think the assembly kind of set the tone, and then after that, I just did it. Yeah, I would be lying if I said that I actually took the gang with me and told them that like, yo, this is what I'm thinking of doing via visuals. I think my channel has always been a space for me to try things out and to be curious. And I've always presented myself as the person that I am, and I'm very multifaceted. I have many different interests, and I think you're going to get that. Like, you're not always going to get the same thing from me.
Yeah, I also saw the shift into music, adding that element to it. Why are you diversifying? Is it a future forecast of what the industry is about to demand from you?
No, so on my YouTube channel, I had Music Wednesday. So in my, back in the Dstv when I was very consistent, I had Music Wednesday come out every second week where I would review South African artists. And that was really cool because I think through that I was able to create relationships with other musicians in the country and kind of, like as much as we're on homies, but like, oh, I know you, you know me, we can support each other in this way. And then I think that segment died out. I just wasn't consistent. I was going through a bit of a phase with YouTube, and I think creating was just straining me again because a lot of the financial aspects of it were on me. So I just started to try do what worked for me, which was sit downs, and I didn't focus on anything else. And then I've been wanting to bring back the segment, but now I have a podcast and I've been thinking about how I want to do so through the podcast. And obviously my podcast has visuals, so it'll infiltrate onto YouTube anyways. So yeah, I think now I'm at the place where I can again bring this segment back in the way in which I want to. And I think I've been fortunate in that I've been able to start with interviews, and I don't want for it to just be interviews. Like, I actually love music, I love reviewing music, so I want for that segment to be that. But it has to look different, it has to sound different, it has to be a segment of its own. It can't just be a normal video with the same background, Like, I want each segment to have a different feel.
What colors do to you?
No, literally, you're in my mind because that's the vibe. Like, I feel I'm trying to create something that is very similar to what I feel when I listen to music, and I want to shoot it in a space that I enjoy listening to music the most in. So I'm trying to kind of bring all of those things together and, package this thing properly.
Those elements of trying to diversify, are you proposing these ideas because you have a proven audience, you have a proven community?
Yes.
You have the data analytics. Are you actually going out to pitch to brands, and how's that going?
Soon come. I'm pitching to brands when it comes to other things, not so much Music Wednesday. As much as I've been able to bring it back through interviews, I think there's still a lot more thought that I want to give it before approaching a brand, just because I want to know what my story is and know exactly what it is that I'm asking for. But I'm definitely pitching to brands for other things right now. I believe in pitching to a brand. The worst thing they can say is no. Okay, and
there's something worse.
What's worse?
No reply.
Oh yeah, no response. Okay, yes. You haven't there are two things that can happen. Actually, there are a few things that can happen. Okay, it can be a no. It can be a no response, which is that one. We have beef. Because at least see me enough to say
it's inhumane. Because Google would have told me if the email was fake. It would have bounced it back.
Bruh, you got it.
You got it. You at sbanbanbrand.com.
Why phone that when what's cha? I'll show you cha in your mind, but you didn't even have, the time to at least let me know to know. But other than that, I've often found with proposals, even if you don't get exactly what you want, you can find something and you can start some sort of relationship with the brand. So yeah, I was actually telling Lwazi, my birthday is coming up, and my birthday's a big one. I just make sure that September's a good time. So I've been talking to brands about that. Like, I don't believe in doing anything in my own strength anymore.
Oh, it's actually the podcast birthday in September too. So
So we're gonna have to do a shebang.
We're gonna join you for the pod.
Yeah.
The brand relationship has been so tricky on my end, right? Because there's those moments where they come on board and they don't come at the capacity, but you're still grateful that they do come on board.
Yes.
And then there's the worst one where it's like we're building it up, you approve it, you approve it.
Yes.
Now you bring your boss to the Zoom
Yes.
call, it's getting bigger. You're like, yo, we're gonna confirm it, it's just a matter of finance. And then text go green.
And then you don't hear from them.
How's that affected you, your creative process, when you feel like I've given you my best, I've shown you the forecast of what we're trying to do? Like, we're trying to have this in a gallery, inside the gallery, we're trying to have
100%.
this experience and encompass all these thoughts I had.
Yeah. I think it's... So in the beginning of my journey, I used to count my chickens before they hatched. So every email that came in...
Twinsies. I'm still in the beginning. It's like, you like this for a while.
No. You're gonna go through it, and you're gonna be okay. And you went through it, and you learn quickly though. That's the thing about counting your chickens before they hatch. You will learn. You will learn the hard way. So I got emails, and I promise you, every email that came in, I was excited about. I was like, oh my goodness, we have an opportunity. They're talking about this much money, or we can do this with them. I'm already making plans for this cash. There's not going to come. Even if they hit you up first, even if they're keen to work with you. You know, so I've had instances like that. Like you've said, I've had other instances where you're speaking to a brand and it keeps developing and it's going in the right direction, and they leave you hanging halfway through. My policy, honestly, is that I don't share too much unless we're honestly at the last final stages of organizing whatever it is that I have proposed. Just so that you will not know my podcast plans, like fully. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I will tell you what I need for you to know, and then depending on how you receive it, depending on whether or not we're going to take it forward, you know, how far we're going to take it forward is how far I can take you along my journey and how much I can expose my business to you. Other than that, I don't.
Which is crazy because most times when I'm speaking to brands, their main subtle demand is that they want the relationship to be over a period of time.
Yes.
Because most of them feel like a lump sum of money cannot just go to the assembly alone.
Yes.
It needs to also be part of Cisco with the podcast.
Yes.
So the relationship can be longer for them when they do their analytics. How does that make you feel? Because you clearly want to stipulate upfront how limited the power is.
I think it's also very dependent on the brand that I'm working with. So if it is a brand that I really believe that, you know, we can work some magic and I just want to be associated with them as much as I think they could benefit from being associated with me, then I'm willing to have the conversation of like, let's see how long we can make this, you know. But for the most part, we give you options, you know. So I'm not, as much as they are, what is the word? When you're like, as much as they're negotiating, we're also negotiating. So you come to me, you say you want to do this, right? Or maybe, no, let's say I come to you, I say I'm doing this, and you now want to be like, okay, cool, we hear you, however, we're wanting to maybe work with you for the rest of the year, or for however long. My manager and I will then draw up a bit of a plan. It's like, okay, if you want to be a part of our journey for a bit, and you're looking at 3 months, these are the things that we're working with, so these are the projects that we're willing to bring you onto, you know. Or for like the assembly, when we were sending out proposals, it's like, okay, you can be a sponsor of this kind in that this content is exclusive to you and your platform, or you can help out and be visible on the day, or the content is exclusive to you for 30 days and then after that we can post. We give you the option of choosing how far you want to be involved and how far we're also comfortable with involving you. Yeah.
How does that make you feel though? Because I remember the first time I ever got like a sponsor, it was not for the pod, for something else.
Yeah.
Because of how committed I am to like good relationships, I somewhat felt like I
Compensated,
over-delivered, and to a certain extent lost the truth of the brand. Because now, once that deal was done, I didn't have it in me to do it for free anymore.
Yes.
What are those moments like for you when you still have to go back and say, oh, this time we're doing it for free? Because truly, this is all we do for a living.
Yes. I think like I'm a very emotional person and I let myself feel what I feel. So my manager knows when I'm upset, he knows when I'm frustrated, and I try to take the time to deal with those emotions before continuing the conversation with the brand, because business is business, and I don't want to potentially say something or ruin a relationship in the midst of my frustration. So I'm very I'm irritated right now. I'm annoyed. I'll give myself the day, speak to my manager about it, then we'll talk about a way forward. I also strongly believe I don't like the way brands treat creatives.
Shout out to the good ones, though.
Time of my life. If I have a great time with the brand, you guys will know. Oh, you will know. They'll be everywhere. I'll sing their name in every song. You know what I mean? Every second I get, I'll do it.
Good to it.
If you're good to me, I'm good to you.
Is that Adele song? Got to be good to me. Is it Adele? No.
No, it's not Adele.
It's not Adele.
It's not Adele.
It's not clear, so good to me.
It's gonna come to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm just a strong believer of, as much as it's a brand that is approaching you, there are people that work for the brand. It is very collaborative. It is very communicative. It is very, you operate on a human level. So it's not just a brand and a creative. There are people behind this brand, and I'm a person and I have people too. So if a brand does not treat me well, I am the first in my team to say, okay, well, I don't want to be associated. I don't want to work with them. And again, I think obviously with the experience, I'm able to differentiate between my personal feelings and just being disrespected as a content creator. There's nothing that irks me more than brands that are wanting a lot from creators and not compensating them, or brands that don't treat you as if you're valuable to them, as much as obviously we're getting money from them, we're obviously offering a service, and they're getting a lot from the service that we're offering. So yeah, for me, I think it's just very much on how you treat me. I think I'm like you in that I really do value relationships, especially when it comes to brands and people that I want to continue working with, but I'm also very quick to say no. But I will say that is a privilege, and that has come over time, because there was definitely a time where if I had any sort of money coming to me, obviously I'm trying to make rent, I'm trying to buy something, I'm trying to do something, I'm going to take the job.
How do you distinguish not even distinguish, how do you graduate to communication? So they're like, yo, Google, we need you to post our cup of tea on your personal Instagram for 3 months. How have you managed to take some of those relationships into the podcast? Because that's something that's bigger than you.
Yes. So relationships that I had before the podcast, now possibly infiltrating into the podcast. Again, do we have a good relationship? Before you even ask for, you know what? My podcast is, I was going to say something so crazy, and I'm struggling to come up with better words, but my podcast is me taking vengeance in some sort of way. I love the fact that we're independent. I love the fact that, whatever we want to do, we do. And because it's my new baby and it is my biggest baby and it is the baby I am most passionate about right now, if we have not had a good working relationship on any other platform, there's a good chance you're not going to touch my podcast. So I've been the most deliberate with the brands that I have been able to work with through my podcast, because it's a clean slate for me. I've made my mistakes. I've tried working with brands that I may have liked, may have not liked, and now I'm using that information to properly just create properly for my podcast and in a way that I feel most comfortable. So I guess if we have a good working relationship and you're wanting to extend it, that's cool. Obviously, the coins go up too, though. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday's price is definitely not today's price. And that's something... No, my manager has drilled this in me. You are worth a lot as a creative. You take your time, you take your energy, and you are sharing yourself. You're sharing your views, your thoughts. There's so much that goes into what you do. So I guess... But your question actually was how have I gone about the communication from obviously working? Yeah, my manager. I don't give my personal number out. Unless I meet you and I like you. Outside of that, no. If you want to talk, if you DM me on Instagram, I will give you my email address. You will speak to my manager. Unless we obviously have now had that relationship where me and you have spoken, then and again, we're on good terms, I'm more than willing to speak to my manager and tell him what we're thinking of and then take it onto the podcast.
Oh man, your business discipline is insane.
It has to be. No, I'm very
strict. I like it. It's damn, I've been too back and forthy with niggas.
No, but you can't be. They have money, they have time.
True. That experience when you get the brands that you like start seeing you and start
Yes.
celebrating you in the right way.
Yes.
Because most times you get celebrated in we see you but not financially see you.
They're acknowledging, I think. I mean, you know what? Acknowledgement is something. Everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying in that, like, they acknowledge you, but as for believing in you and pouring into you financially, that's a whole different conversation.
It's a big fight.
Yeah, that's a huge fight. And we're going to continue fighting that fight.
Being a creative. But so how was it?
Yes.
BNG, Spotify,
Yes.
those big moments for you.
Amazing. There's nothing better than working with a brand that I love and engage with or drink or consume, whatever, all the time. There is nothing better than being acknowledged and supported by a platform that I work on. And I think out of all the brand opportunities I've had, those have been my biggest moments. So YouTube and Spotify for me was like, that was when I was like, okay, cool. Because outside of the financial support, it is the back end support. You know, if you're wanting a banner to go up, it's the fact that I have a direct line and I can possibly write a proposal and see what they're willing to do. If I'm having an issue with my YouTube, I'm able to message someone directly on the team and be like, okay, yo, Doc, I have this problem. So that support for me as a creative means so much more than the financial support, even though the financial support has been lovely, but it's honestly just having access to certain people on these platforms who can help me. And I guess like BNG, 2 years ago, I used to drink that thing all the time. You know what I'm saying? I just don't drink as much, but I still drink it.
September.
See, September.
Sponsor.
Online. But really cool. I love creating from a good place. I love when it's not a job. You know, it's like, okay, normally I would wake up and I would eat this. So it's just about creating what I would normally do.
It's part of your lifestyle.
Yes. So I think, yeah, authentic content is also just the best content.
First time I met you was
Yes.
at Spotify.
Yes.
Crazy Tunes. That was crazy because I'm like to never, yo, please introduce me to Google. Because I literally came there, I'm like, let me be a fan today. Let me get dressed. I'm a bride, you know.
Yeah.
I even wore my cold sneakers because they matched the outfit.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, you looked really nice on that day.
Thank you.
You
Thank
see?
you. I was just trying to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just trying to be nice in the audience.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was a crazy first conversation we had on
Bruh.
live stream.
Bruh. It was the fact that it was literally like, okay, how are you? Good, thanks, okay, cool. You guys are gonna now have a conversation on stage. I'm like, oh, okay. But more than anything, I think for me that shows how good you are at what you do.
We try.
No, because it came effortlessly for you. You literally were like, okay, cool.
I had to go.
Let me ask you the questions now.
Yeah. So in that moment, I was like, yo, actually, how does this feel for you? Those moments where you know this was planned.
Yes.
Things are being delayed, not by your choice.
Yeah.
And you still have to act regardless.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Because most people, it's panic mode at that moment.
Yes.
It's like anxiety. I don't know this guy. The guy's supposed to be here.
100%.
He keeps saying he's on the way.
Yes.
But you know what? Let me be professional now.
You see Spotify? Brand I love. Treat me so good. I treat them good too. And luckily, I have had the opportunity to work with them beforehand. So in a space like that, had that been the first time I was working with Spotify, and obviously now they want for me to interview someone who's not there, and now I have to kiki with everyone, I would have literally shat my pants. I would have panicked. But I think because I'd been in the space before, and honestly, seeing Nebagazi's face at these things makes me feel better, because I'm like, if I have anything, be it a problem, be it a question, I'm able to direct it towards her, and obviously she can just help and guide me, you know. Like, it would have been very different if Nebagazi wasn't there and now me and you were kind of having to meet each other by ourselves without anyone introducing us and then going to stage. So yeah, but I think I come prepared for anything, especially when they ask for me to speak. I know how the cookie crumbles. You know, like, there's a call sheet, there are, you know, everything is planned, and for the most part, it never really goes according to plan. And I know that if something is running late, they're most likely to ask me to kiki for 2 seconds. So I think I always just come into the space prepared for that, you know, and obviously depending on what my relationship with the brand is, sometimes I'm more willing to do it than not. But a great day. I love that day.
Cold.
It was cold.
It was just after the snow, man.
Yes, it was really cold, but I'll continue to say this. I think the podcasting community is my favorite community, and I love that Spotify continues to allow for me to meet other creatives, you know, like instead of us doing it out of our own strength and like DMing each other on Instagram and stuff.
Strength.
Shout
out Spotify though.
Yeah, no, literally.
Shout out Spotify.
But the fact that they bring creators together, we're in one room, Lwazi's there, I'm there, it's literally like, okay, cool, have a conversation, see if there's a vibe, see if you can work.
We've gotten to the point where the creator market in South Africa is huge. Like, it's huge. We've seen the first platforms, we had 1 million, and we've seen the biggest live podcasts take place in South Africa. In those moments, we're seeing all this growth, but we all somewhat still dependent on brands.
Yes.
What do you think the solution would be for us to then start creating our own economy where we can personally not make partnerships?
You know, I've always... one of my dreams is for my podcast to become, and I don't know how, before you ask me, okay? It's just an idea. But I've always wanted for my podcast to almost become its own radio station. And I feel like that would be a really cool way to mitigate relying on brands, just being able to monetize my work from where I am at all times.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure. I mean, I know Spotify has spoken about monetization just a little bit, and Apple Podcasts has like a subscription thing, but I don't like the fact that I'm not able to monetize my work, like monetize the episode in real time as it comes out, and for every listen, you know, be able to generate some sort of money. So I think my biggest dream right now is to have a platform where I can do that for myself, you know, be able to generate ads in the place in which I want to generate ads. And yeah, and I mean, I do believe in subscriptions to some extent.
I don't know. On my personal part, like there's a fancy English word for a stingy person. My God, not finding the word right.
Yeah,
now. I'll find it. But I don't believe in paying for things that, like, I don't believe in paying for like tickets.
Okay.
And subscriptions.
Okay.
Because the intention has always been for the people to consume.
Yes.
At the easiest level. There's parts and places where we have to charge because we're doing it independently. So then we'll charge for entrance because there's no sponsor who's sponsoring on that level.
For sure.
Because you'd find that only the commercial stuff would get sponsored at that level.
Yeah.
Whereas you have a bigger audience, you have a more attentive audience, you have a buying audience. And that's when it led to me to think, how can we get to a point where we create our own product? But I don't know what product we're creating as podcasters. Because not like we can make a Google doll.
Yeah.
But maybe we can make a Google doll.
Another thing outside of that, of what I mentioned, I think is merch. The more I'm hearing it, the more it's making sense to me. I'm not gonna lie, at first, like, I'm someone I'm very chilled. Like, when things are going well for me, on whatever level, sometimes I just want to chill there, you know what I mean? And people have bigger and better dreams for me, which I'm so grateful for. But, you know, I like to take things one step at a time and enjoy whatever it is that I've been able to accomplish, whatever level I'm now at. Yeah. So, yeah, again, my manager, so grateful for him. Like, he shout out to that guy, man. Shout out to that guy. He is so big on me wanting, or rather, he is so big on wanting for me to be able to make money passively and obviously not just rely on brands. And he has been drilling merch into my head. And honestly, everywhere I have recently been, other creators are speaking to the same thing, because yeah, when you are reliant on brands and just brands, you obviously have to now start looking elsewhere. I have considered getting a job, honestly. Just I'm thinking about it.
I don't think I'd be able to create from a safe space at that point.
I also don't.
But also we are creating from a very angry place.
Yes.
Because like, I need this to be done so this can do.
100%. But yeah, I think also like we need to stop limiting ourselves when it comes to merch and like products, really. Let me not even say merch. It doesn't have to be a piece of clothing, you know? It's like, why can't I create a doll? If I wanted to, I could. Also understanding your market. Like, for instance, if I started a doll, majority of my listeners are like, you know, it's after school has this whole school vibe. People are in varsity high school.
And integrating it to a scene. That was brilliant.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can continue that theme. So I'm kind of looking at doing school stuff, funny enough. Literally.
Oh, that's fire.
Literally.
I think I know a guy. That's fire.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'm gonna ask you, I'm looking at it.
That's fire.
But yeah, I think just whatever you're offering obviously has to make sense for the podcast and for the theme of it and the feel of it. But I want to ask you that. How do you think we could bridge the gap as creators, especially as podcasters?
For me, I was talking to a guy actually. I was like, for me, I think having done my first live show and having so many elements of it, and then somewhat seeing other people incorporate that into everything else they're doing, I realized that there's more power in a group effort. You know how Usher will get all the old R&B singers to come. So I thought, what if podcasters came together and we all went on tour? So, you know, for hour 1, it's me, hour 2, it's you, hour 3. I thought that'd be the most feasible way, because then, to ROI's point, you can say, yo, Brand B, we're going to be in Cape Town, Durban. Yeah, Cape Town, Durban, Joburg. Oh, Pretoria is the biggest podcasting consumers in the country. So we do Pretoria as well. So you do like a 4-city stop.
Yeah.
Within that 4-city, yo, damn, this is good IP. Spotify, you got the powers.
Listen.
You got the powers. Exclusively dropping festivals.
Yes.
So a tour, we just group each other. You group each other, figure out the logistics of it, get probably a beverage brand to sponsor the whole thing, get a DSP to also highlight the whole thing, and then that on its own, make it an experience for the audience, because the problem is that now we're existing in silos with the same audience.
Question: how do you feel about the podcasting community?
The podcasters or the audience? Or both?
Not the audience, the podcasters.
The podcasters.
Do you think, okay, I'm asking this because, you know, obviously everyone speaks about collaborations all the time, but sometimes people aren't as open to them.
I think there's a hierarchy. But I think that hierarchy is misconstrued, because everyone needs to start understanding they have their own genre.
Yes.
So it's not competition, where it's like,
literally,
your listener is less likely to stay by me, but those who do stay really stay, vice versa.
For sure.
Because this is more for business podcast. That's why we'll ask you about the structures of everything, you know. And then the next guy's music and. So I think there's misconstrued competition.
Okay.
Because most people don't understand they have a genre.
100%.
They have a demographic. Also understanding that not everyone like you and me has sent a proposal. Because once you've sent a proposal, you also understand the power in numbers, you understand the power in your demographic, who you speaking to and why you're speaking to them. So I think that's the main problem right now. But overall, man, it should have been way easier for like someone to say, like a big entity, we keep going back to Spotify. I guess shout out to them. For like a big entity like Spotify to say, yo, here's a studio, probably like get a place. And it's like, you can schedule it, because 100%. We've taken these top 20 podcasts in Joburg to say, we're going to facilitate you having the space. Because for them, they lose nothing. In fact, the benefit is that also the audio quality for all their podcasts becomes universal.
Sensational, yes.
They're still adding ads to all our stuff, so it could be way faster that way.
Also, I think just having that kind of content live on their platform, or them being the people behind it, could also do a lot for them. Like, I think every time I have truly been able to collaborate, it's been because of the brand bringing creatives together, and I find there's so much power in that. And I think that's my favorite way of forming the community. Like, you know, like, we can consume each other's content, and to some extent, I guess because it's podcast and we speak, you can kind of gauge what kind of person someone is. But there's nothing that beats meeting someone and having a conversation with them and getting to feel about. Way faster. It's
like, oh, you're a good person. This is what you want.
This is what I want. We can do this. Simple.
We're done.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, honestly, spaces like that, besides also content creation, or rather collaborating and looking at it from a monetary perspective, like you said, I also feel my safest and seen with creators. Like, there's certain things that we understand, obviously, because we're in this industry, that maybe would be harder for other people to understand, you know? So I'm always grateful for that. And I think it just continues to spark my creativity. Like, it's so cool to be around other people and hearing what they're thinking of, or the conversations that they're having around me, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, we should unionize.
Yeah, we should. Like, totally it would be really cool if we did have a union.
It'd be way faster if we all set a base fee also. No one would ever undercut anyone.
Yes, but that's not...
you want to add space? They did in America. I think that's what Charlemagne's thing does.
Oh.
It's like technically a union, because he doesn't own anyone's podcast. It's like, I'll get you the ad revenue, I'll get you this, I'll do this. But they do it successfully because they understand at which tier and who. It's like, Kicknet doesn't have
I
more viewers than
get
Zanzi Magic.
that.
But
So the
Kicknet-
pricing will be different for each one of
Yeah.
these things. Yeah. But there's a base price for whatever tier you're at. That would be smart.
Because that would simplify everything. Or also
100%.
take away. Maybe it's Leo's job. Leo's supposed to figure that out.
100%. You know what? I'm going to give him a call after this.
You know?
And
Those
just
are
talk
people.
to him. But yeah.
But overall, what's your word to the youth?
My word to the youth is
Considering
be
we're other youth.
be you, be vibey, be cool, be authentic, keep trying, keep pushing. I know it's also like it's so cliche, the whole like just start and just put yourself out there, but I promise you everyone starts somewhere. And I know so many people who are so scared of sharing themselves and putting themselves out there, and I know that obviously sharing your work on a larger platform such as the internet is very scary. It really is, but I think there is so much power in believing yourself and backing yourself, and you're bound to find an audience that likes you. And like you said, in podcasting, there's genres. Like so many people want to become like a podcaster, where I'm like, no, there's space for so many other types of content, so many other types of podcasters. So don't be scared to being true to who you are. Your audience will find you always. It may take a little bit longer because it is more of a niche, but when they find you, they will find you, and they will rock with you. So, I think for me, more than anything, I want to say don't be scared to take chances. Those that aren't sending proposals, send them. Regardless of how many subscribers, followers, listenership you have, if you know that you could add value to the brand and you can articulate that properly and low-key maybe even show them what you're capable of doing with their brand as a demo or something, it is worth it, especially if it's a brand that you want to work with, someone you've been gunning for a long time. So, yeah, man, like just keep being y'all.
I'm going to add to that. We got a sponsor at 2K. 2K subscribers, 1K views. So it's really about understanding your market and who you actually want to sponsor you.
Yes.
But
who you want to sponsor you. Yes.
What's been your proudest moment thus far in your journey?
That's such a good question. On a bigger scale of things, I will say the assembly. I think looking back at it and honestly seeing the footage that came out of it and just knowing that we're able to pull that off, even though we had sponsors, but it wasn't in the way in which I wanted for it to be, I am still incredibly proud of that moment and proud of myself and my team for being able to pull that off. Honestly, right now it's the assembly. It is assembly, and I think that when I continue to do more shows and I'm able to take the show on the road, I'll find more fulfillment in it, and I'm going to learn to enjoy that much more, and I know it'll become easier. But outside of podcasting, it's the assembly, but there's a brand that I'm currently working with, and I can't necessarily say until we drop our first thing, but that for me right now.
Shout out Brand A.
Yeah. That for me right now is one of the coolest things I'm doing and the biggest things I'm doing. And it may not show because this campaign infiltrates in so many different ways. But I think when I was approached by them and hearing what they wanted to do and them just valuing my opinion and wanting to use my podcast in a really cool way, like I don't know if I can say this, but I'm working with them in such a way that like we're doing some stuff on my podcast, and I'm often very scared to work with brands when it comes to my podcast because, as soon as a brand is on, it's very much like we want this to play in the beginning, we want the ad to do this, and they have done nothing but make my life easier in that it is all me, but they're giving me a set. They are doing the manpower of it all, but the actual feel of it and the way that I've been running it, I've been able to do for a long time. So it's such a blessing for me when I find a brand that I really click with and I really like, and I find a brand that I feel like really appreciates me, because then doing the work is easy. So easy. And for yourself?
Proudest moment? It hasn't been a year.
Okay.
The proudest moment for me, honestly, was being... I never shared what I do with my mother or family or anything.
Yeah.
So when I had my live show, to have my mother fly up for that, and I had personally invited her, it felt so emotional, because it was like, I think I'm ready to show you who I am.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy, because even when I listened, funny enough, my friend recommended your podcast. It was like, I see where you're at in life.
Yes.
So I listened to it. I think it was, So was it last year or the year before? Not sure. So when you said that, when I listened, and I was like, it's kind of insane how you've created a safe space for emotions, and for dudes, there's no like safe space. It's like it's either we're chopping, we're laughing too much, or we're serious too much.
Yeah.
And I was like, someone make a good podcast that like as a balance of what life truly is and the experiences we on. And yeah, I think that was my proudest moment because of everything. I'm never too committed to my goals because I also don't count myself as an ambitious person.
Okay.
I truly am this podcast didn't start because I was like, I want a podcast.
Yeah.
This podcast started
because you saw the opportunity.
That, and I had a sneaker show and I just wanted to print a t-shirt that was going to be written CNR JUTA De BEER at the back. Not a t-shirt, a workwear jacket.
Yes.
Because of the Salt Destroy Today jacket.
Yes.
Right? Then Phil was like, yo, Mash, this guy would make a dope podcast because of his takes on shit. Then we're like, then me and Mash speak. Within 10 minutes, we're like, okay, cool. I don't think I want to do it, but let's shoot 5 episodes this coming Sunday. This was on a Thursday. So I don't know what the structure's going to be. We just figured out the podcast name, and that's like 53 episodes already published now. So that was quite insane.
That's crazy. Also, when you speak about showing your parents who you are, I definitely resonate with that. Just because, you know, like our parents aren't really consuming content the way that our generation and younger generations are. So, yeah, I mean, my parents obviously have a good idea of who I am. I'm with them all the time. I live at home, so they see me every time.
Yeah.
But I think much like you, having them in the audience was the first time where I was like, I am 25 years old. I have my own thoughts. I have my own views. You know, like I say crazy things sometimes, and you guys are gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it, and you're gonna be okay with it. Yeah, welcome to the party. So yeah, I can imagine that was a really beautiful moment for you.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was crazy.
But 2 more, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that's what I like to hear. Yeah, definitely 2 more.
But to close it up, thank you for your time.
Of course.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you.
For your beautiful insights.
Of course.
You know, this was nice.
No, thank you for having me.
I felt like I'm hearing someone who understands me.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I think, like you've said, there's really nothing better than collaboration. Like if you put all the weird stuff apart or to the side, there's so much power in collaboration. So I appreciate you having me. I look forward to having you. This is me letting everyone know, okay, that there will definitely be an episode out on my side sometime soon.
Also, shout out to Ganga for listening.
To the gang, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to follow the show, do the vibes, do the right things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, guys. Bye.